Hello and welcome to Big Deal. We are in an election season and tax debate has taken center stage, with inheritance tax becoming a political hot potato. Tax, where the personal corporate investment has been one of the single largest factors for making decisions in businesses, investments, and our day-to-day life. So today we will focus on the report card of the present government on the basis of tax reforms and what is expected from the new government. Let me welcome on the show two tax experts, Ajay Rotti and Arvind Datar. Gentlemen, so good to have you on CNBC-TV18. Now, Ajay in the studio, let's begin with an overview on what are the major tax changes and reforms under the present government that really come to light, are the key highlights.
Nisha, I think, every term, every government makes a lot of tax changes. And I think if I have to look at three key things that are very important, significant changes, one would be on the administration side. Because we've moved into what's a faceless regime. It has its own pluses and minuses, and we'll discuss that as we move along. But I think faceless has sort of changed the entire way in which tax administration, assessment functions. Second significant one is the technology that's being used by the government, whether it's the annual information reports that you get. Each of us, while we are filing our returns, we get that statement of which bank has paid us how much interest, what dividends we've earned, what transactions have happened. There's a lot of use of technology that's come in, and this happened in the last 4-5 years, I would say. They're talking of pre-filled returns becoming much more, prevalent and things like that. The last would be a lot of rate rationalization that's happened, whether it's for corporates where you have a lower rate without tax incentives, which really been attractive. A lot of companies have moved into that. Or for individuals, again, a different scheme, a different rate with lower surcharge, but with no benefits, not much benefits. I think these are three key things that have happened, which are very significant.
All right, some significant changes, and we'll delve deep into that. But Arvind Datar, what do you think of the political hot potato and the matter of debate about elections on inheritance tax? What do you think about it, and on which side of the argument are you?
Well, inheritance tax is what we call estate duty. I think it's an absolutely unworkable, and if I may say so, a foolish idea, which should never be implemented. When I was a junior in the 1980s, we had estate duty appeals, we had the Estate Duty Act, and it was one of the most complex pieces of legislation with very little return in revenue. So inheritance tax was buried in the 1986, and I don't know whose idea it is to even think about it once again. I think it's a very wrong idea. It should not even be thought of, leave alone discussed.
All right, so you're rubbishing it.
Absolutely.
All right, Ajay, what's your view on that? A quick word on that.
I would, agree with Mr. Datar on that. And the only additional point is that I think on tax ideas, we can't just borrow from other countries. And, we are in a different place. We are essentially a poor country with low per capita income. And I don't think ideas which could or which would work in other countries, Western countries, should be just imported without thinking. I don't think we are ready, and I don't think it's the time for us to be even discussing, like Mr. Datar said.
All right, let's jump to some of the changes that at the fag end of this particular government, Ajay, that the government has made, especially signing the protocol, Ajay, on the Mauritius tax treaty. How big a debate point can it become once the clarifications are there, and do we have enough understanding on that?
Yeah, so, we have signed a protocol in literally at the fag end, like you said, a few weeks back. What a protocol does is essentially amend certain parts of the tax treaty between the two countries. What's been signed now amends two significant pieces. One is it prevents any third country from using the India-Mauritius treaty to get tax benefits. And second, it brings in a threshold which has to be crossed for you to be eligible for the treaty now. Therefore, it's not automatic. And the problem is there is a clause in the protocol which reads very funnily to say it applies for anything that happens now, whenever the investment may have happened, etc. Therefore, whether there is an angle and aspect of retrospective applicability is something that we'll have to wait and watch. And the CBDT has actually told us that, don't need to be worried right now. Whenever the protocol comes into force, and it's not in force today, Whenever it comes into force, we will issue these clarifications and sort out whatever could be the problems coming out of implementation. So I think we need to wait and watch, but it is going to impact Mauritius investments going forward.
All right. So when Mauritius investments are to be impacted for sure, Arvind Datar, do you think that because of the retrospectivity as well as all-encompassing nature, which may actually shrink the pool of beneficiaries from this tax treaty, do you think that it opens more debate for more litigations going forward?
Well, I feel that this India-Mauritius protocol also was unnecessary. It is a step in the wrong direction. Because you see, people who come via Mauritius are actually coming in to get some tax benefit. That's a fact. And as early as in 2000, Azadi Bachao Andolan made it very clear that, yes, you may lose some tax because of a treaty where there's a more favorable regime elsewhere. But the benefits you get by investments and particularly FDI is very, very significant. Now we've got this treaty, and as Ajay pointed out, there are two dangers. One is the clause which says that they can sort of question your investment through Mauritius by alleging treaty shopping. And the second is a possible retrospective application. Now, while in theory, it may be good to check treaty shopping, my worry is, having practiced in tax for 4 decades, it is likely that virtually every investment will be now questioned as being treaty shopping. Because when you come from Mauritius, you're coming through Mauritius for certain advantages. So you choose the best possible treaty from your perspective. So you're going to have a huge spurt in litigation. That's what I think, by alleging treaty shopping and by implementing it retrospectively. And CBDT may say what it wants. The assessing officer will blindly start alleging treaty shopping, and then you have to keep on litigating right up to the Supreme Court. So I think they have to make sure that this do some very clear clarifications. Otherwise, we are in for a major round of litigation. And apart from litigation, it may scare away a lot of investors. That's my very serious worry.
All right. So that's a big worry. So Ajay, on the same point, do you think that the investors would be a worried lot? And also, in the past also, we have seen the policy flip-flops on the taxation front, and we want to attract more FDI into the country. That is one of the cornerstones for growth in India. So how do you see the investor community's reaction to the government's tax reforms in the last 5 years? In your interface with several types of investors in different sectors, what is the more or less sense that you're getting?
I think, the time taken to settle tax disputes and the cost and the time of litigating in India continues to be a worry. While there were a couple of things positive in that direction, which is during the 19 to 24 period, we had the settlement scheme, the, Vivad Se Vishwas scheme, where a lot of settlement happened. It was about 99,000 crores is the number that we saw of disputes being settled. So that's one positive, but litigation continues to be a problem. Whenever investors look at India, they would want to know. Second is the administration bit, where I would say, officers being aggressive with faceless, some of it has come down. There's still some bit there. I think there's some area of improvement there. These are two issues which always come up. In terms of retrospective applicability of large things, this government at least has stuck to its word, not done any retrospective amendment. In fact, they've given relief on the retrospective amendment for Vodafone that was there, settlement happened. So that's, again, positive. There's not been too many tinkering of the tax law on small things. Even in the interim budget, if you saw, they never did anything.
All right. So two important aspects here, Ajay, is that in my interface with all the foreign private equity investors, for them, certainty of taxation is extremely important. And most of them are betting on India because of a stable government. So that's a very important and probably the single largest decision maker for investments into the country.
I would agree.
Yes. To another very important burning topic of discussion, Arvind Datar, is the GST and the understanding of it on the online gaming industry. The 28% and especially on GGR. What do you make of it, and on what are the technicalities? It's sub judice, that matter is sub judice. How do you think this is likely to pan out, and what are the aspects to keep on mind?
Well, I must make a disclaimer. I'm appearing for some of the gaming companies now for the Supreme Court. So with that caveat, I feel that this tax at 28% on the GGR was completely uncalled for, counterproductive. We tried our best to tell the government that, look, put it on the 10% platform fee which the online gaming companies charge. Don't make it on the gross. The only saving grace is that they said it will be only a one-time 28%. It will not be 28% every time you renew your bet or something like that. As expected, the 28% tax has had a serious impact on gaming. A lot of gaming companies have had to shut down, and I don't think, barring a few companies, it's going to survive. It is also going to lead to a huge grey market or a black market in gaming, and people are going to resort to all sorts of things for this. And I don't know why they were so much bothered about gaming, because gaming was just 1,700 crores was the total revenue out of a GST collection of several lakh crores. So you could have left gaming alone, but it was generating huge amount of employment. So now you've really killed the golden goose, so to speak. You put a 28% tax. And this is another major problem with not only this government or every government. Nobody sees the consequences. You want to collect more in GST, but you don't find out what will be the impact of the change, how many jobs will be lost, how many people will shut down. Nothing has been done. Government said they will look into this matter for a few more months and review, but I don't think they're going to go back on this 28% gaming. It is a very unfortunate step. And on talking on GST, it's not just on gaming. There are so many other issues on GST which have to be addressed. Reverse input tax credit, the levy of 28% on cement, the entire confusion in the real estate sector, the 28% tax on auto components. There are very, very major issues of GST which have to be addressed. Unfortunately, the GST Council does not meet at the prescribed time. And I find a great delay in bringing about any reform. For example, classification. There's so much of confusion on classification. The biscuit is different, chocolate biscuit is different, this is different. There's a huge amount of uncertainty. And as Ajay rightly pointed out, yes, people are betting on India because of the stable government, investment opportunities. But the elephant in the room, clients who speak to me, the biggest worry is the way our tax laws are made and how they are administered. That is the biggest worry. I've seen many clients shift to Vietnam, shift to Sri Lanka, shift to other places, just by the sheer worry of the uncertainty in tax. And today your income tax can be reopened up to 10 years. No other country has this provision.
Yes.
So virtually, if you're a foreign investor, then we're in 2024. So up to 2034, your income tax can be reopened. It's a big concern for many people. And many clients have told me that, look, they're just worried about the tax. So they just hope for the best.
Right. All right. Hold your thoughts there, gentlemen. It's a short break on Big Deal, and we'll come back and discuss more about the report card of tax reforms by the present government.